do I really want to be a mom? Am I supposed to do this forever? Am I supposed to wake up and change and be the baby? That's all I do?
What is postpartum depression?
Loneliness, hopelessness, difficulty bonding with your baby. We're so used to celebrating when a baby is born. We forget with celebration can also come grief of that past identity. Postpartum rage is so common. This is probably the main thing that brings people actually to me. Like, they're like, I just keep snapping at my husband. I don't know what's going on.
You hear the mom wants to kill the baby.
You may have a scary thought that like, I'm gonna drop the baby down the stairs. And then you're like, oh my God, why did I think that? That's a good indicator that it's an intrusive thought and it's not really you. People want you to be the host. You're healing, bleeding. People are coming over your house, want to see the baby, and they want you to get up and like bring tea.
Fathers. What's their role in all of this?
Their life's not impacted to the point of everything is different. Their whole day is now structured around a kid who needs you 24/7. I don't think anybody could do it alone. Husbands need to know that this isn't just her complaining. Help her sleep. Be part of the process of like the sleep, the feeding.
What could be early intervention for postpartum depression?
Peer support, getting your needs met, because I think a woman's support is the greatest thing that you can have.
Do you think being a mother is worth it?
This is like something I think about a lot.
You know how in this age we have a clinical diagnosis for everything. We know exactly how to deal with all these different emotional, psychological situations that we go through. The one thing that I've seen that is very vague is postpartum depression. When you think about your life in terms of your wife, your mother, your sister, you automatically think, what did they go through? How was their experience like? Because it's this subject that rarely ever gets brought up. Alaa is a therapist who specializes in prenatal. So think about pregnancy and think about postpartum after delivering the baby. That's where her area of expertise is. She talks about what she sees in her practice in terms of what women actually go through. What don't people see about this postpartum phase? But we also talk about some of the big issues that women who has gone through postpartum complain about, whether that's family members coming over, feeling disconnected from the baby. If you're a man and you think this subject doesn't really concern me, then you couldn't be farther away from the truth. This episode, if anything, should be mostly consumed by men to understand what all the women in your life are going through and how big of a role you play. Before we start, I just want to let you know that I was looking at the back end of the channel and 70% of the people who regularly watch the show are not subscribed. So do me a quick favor, glance at that subscribe button. If you're subscribed, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, please do. It helps out the channel more than you think. And for women who have gone through postpartum, I want to hear your thoughts on what Alaa said. And with that being said, let's get this show started.
Welcome aboard Middle East Airlines.
والمتوجهة إلى
طيران الشرق الأوسط يرحب
مدينة القدس العربية.
Hey Alaa, how are you?
Good, how
Welcome
are
to
you?
Not From Here. The way we start this show off usually is you introducing yourself in the way that you see yourself. So when Alaa looks in the mirror, who is she?
Good question. I think a mom, a community member, a daughter, and I hope a healer. Like, that's like a passion that I hope that is there too. Yeah.
Why would mom be the first thing you identify as?
Yeah, because it's such a identity. Everything that you do, it's in the back of your mind. Like, how would my kids view this? How is this going to be for them? It becomes so interwoven in who I am. Yeah.
And if someone's tuning in from the title of this episode, why should they stay here till the end?
To know that you can... Like, you can say I'm a mom first and still have who you are and be part of who you are and not completely lose who you are outside of just being a mom.
Is that common?
Yes.
In what ways do women lose themselves after being a mom?
Yeah. A lot of times it's this mom guilt that comes up when they do things for themselves. So when they do step away from their kids, or they are planning things outside of that, especially in the beginning, it's this, but I could be there for my child, but I could be the one that's helping them with this, or what if and it kind of becomes this thing of like stepping away feels like I could be doing something else.
Does that start after the child comes to this life, or does it start when the woman gets pregnant?
I think everybody's different.
Okay.
Yeah, so some people, when they're pregnant, they're kind of like still maybe disassociated from it. Like, oh, am I really pregnant? It's not like tangible for them yet. While other women, like right away, that kind of starts with even like how they take care of their bodies and what they're doing, and like only thinking of like, okay, what's the best way to take care of my kid even while I'm pregnant?
Do you think a woman evolved properly when it came to taking care of themselves, especially during pregnancy, from the time like our mothers and grandmothers experienced pregnancy until now?
This is like something I think about a lot, especially because we just have information overload, right? Like social media, there's an expert for every specialty that you see, and that information overload just makes you want to do everything perfectly, right? So like the physical therapist says this is the best thing for you and your baby. The speech therapist says this is the best thing for you and your baby. And there's all of these aspects, and you're thinking about all of this at once. Our parents did not have that.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it can be both. If you can filter it, it could be good, just like having that information. But when you're constantly researching and you're constantly trying to implement it, it's an impossible standard.
I'm just thinking, how would a woman know when to stop? Like, when is this amount of information enough?
Yeah, I would say when it's like hours, right? Or they're not able to like sleep because they're looking things up, or they feel like guilt because they didn't do 20 minutes of tummy time today, and oh my gosh, I'm failing my baby because I didn't implement that. Like this guilt that kind of starts to override the bond that you're having with your kid. That's when I think it's too much.
I think what I've seen from like mothers is a lot of telling their daughters that it's not that serious. We raised kids, and we didn't used to do this stuff, and you guys turned out fine. And then that becomes, because she already feels guilty that, for example, the baby didn't get 20 minutes of tummy time. But then at the same time, her mother or another woman in her life is telling her, it's not that serious, you're overcomplicating it. And now you have this feeling of guilt with a feeling of, wait, am I supposed to be doing this? And then kind of they all collide.
Yeah, that's an ongoing thing. I think almost every single person that walks into my office is saying something like that, or like they don't get it, or I tell them to do it this way and they're like, we didn't do it this way. And it's a lot, right? And I think that when we look at usually, so I'll take a step back. It's not just, am I doing it right, and did they do it right, or did I do it right? It's what is attaching you to wanting to do it so right. So I would look at not just specifically should you be doing this or not, but what happens if you don't do it? What feeling is coming up there? Because parents will make comments, but that's not going to help get to what is causing this constant anxiety about doing it right.
What is that usually for them? What have you seen?
Mostly, so a lot of time like this, am I good enough comes up, like this core belief of like, am I good enough? Perfectionism. I see a lot of moms who are typically deal with their anxiety with perfectionism. When a kid comes into the picture, there's so much out of your control. You can't do things perfectly, and that throws everything off balance. And so when you've handled your anxiety your whole life by doing things perfectly and having things in control and taking care of them, that coping mechanism just went out the window because you're not in control of how the baby reacts, what they need when they cry, when they need to be changed, what's best for them. Every baby's different.
There's this idea that I saw of, I never realized that when the child comes to this world, this person, which is the mother, now becomes two separate people. She was always just the wife, for example, or call her Alaa. Now Alaa is not only Alaa anymore. She's Alaa, and then she's the mother of this baby, and then the identity kind of splits into two. What's the psychological repercussions of an identity split like that?
Yeah, I typically, when this comes up, I like to say we're so used to celebrating when a baby is born, right? Of course, like it's subhanAllah, like a new life, right? We celebrate so much that we forget with celebration can also come grief of that past identity. And so this grief and celebration happens at the same time. And it's like this loss of normalcy. Right? And it's this idea of like, now I have to think of not just me, but my kid and all of the tasks that come along with it. And the grief of that independence. So when we think of like that shift into adolescence and like you have a shift into independence, right? You start thinking for yourself, making decisions for yourself. That's why we see a lot of teens like kind of going at it with their parents, because that like shift is happening in their brain. When it comes into like parenthood, it's that same shift is starting to happen. Your brain is literally making room for new information. So we see like brain fog, and we see all of these, like the hormone surges. Like your brain is making room for more information to take care of this baby. So you're losing all this like irrelevant stuff, but that's also you. It's things that brought you joy and interest and things like that.
There's a lot of things that come with that. It's emotional, which I think like that's obvious, but there's also some like biological ones. So like how do the hormonal drops affect the psychology in a way? Like how are they intertwined? The neurological pathways with the emotional pathways.
Yeah, so specifically like in the postpartum
Yeah.
period. Yeah. So when we think about like that drop in hormones, we're thinking about like that's the biggest hormonal drop in biology, right? So we're thinking of 9 months of like progesterone and estrogen. As soon as you deliver that placenta, you're going cold turkey on all of those hormones. So think about that hormonal drop and how that's going to impact mood and irritability and all of this, right? And then we're going to throw on not getting sleep on top of that because of a new baby. So this hormonal drop, and this is also what kind of causes typically the baby blues. So
What is the baby blues?
yeah, the baby blues is like 2 weeks. It usually kicks on 1 to 2 days after you deliver. And it's about 2 weeks of like irritability, crying spells, anxiety, depression. It's really kind of like, it's that shift, right? And about 80% of women experience the baby blues. And it makes sense, right? When you think about such a hormonal shift and you can't really compare it, but like if you wanted to compare it, you can say it's like 50 to 100 birth control pills at once. You just daily, you dropped it, right? Like think about the irritability and the anxiety and depression that's going to come with that.
Does that throw them off? Because if you're just going about your life regularly and then all of a sudden you're having this like anxiety and you're crying out of nowhere, like is there elevated anxiety because of the symptoms as well?
Yeah, so what I notice is a lot of moms will kind of have these thought processes of, what did I do? Did I make a mistake? I wanted this baby, but why do I feel this way? Is this going to be my life forever? Like, how am I going to adjust to this? And it's almost like this piece that is like, do I really want to be a mom? Like, am I supposed to do this forever? Am I supposed to wake up and change and feed the baby? That's all I do? And it's kind of like this repetition of such overwhelm of like, did I make a mistake? Yeah.
And that after 2 weeks, does that just...
So for some people, after 2 weeks, it kind of calms back down, right? You're kind of getting the hang of things. You're getting used to this new routine. Hormones are starting to shift back out. But what we notice if it lasts longer than 2 weeks, that's where I would say like, okay, let's look at if there's something else going on here. And a lot of times, a lot of women get told like, oh, it's just the baby blues, like you'll get over it. But if it's been longer than 2 weeks, there should be some more support going on. There's like risk factors to postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and all of that. But if you're like typically sensitive to hormonal shifts, like women who are like sensitive to hormonal shifts during their cycle and things like that, that's another risk factor for postpartum depression.
Those are one of the risk factors. What are the other ones?
There's a lot, but and the thing about postpartum depression is there's risk factors, but you never know. It could happen, it could not, even if you have risk factors or not. It's one of just those things that you never know. But if you've had depression or anxiety before, if you have like high stress parenting, like NICU parents, sensitivity to hormonal shifts, lack of support, those are all kind of risk factors.
So I still don't have kids, so I kind of still didn't see it like inside of the house, but I mean, so through this conversation, I will be throwing at you some things that other people shared with me when I told them that I was prepping for this episode, and women who have gone through it. And one of the things that they mentioned was loneliness that follows when everybody celebrates the baby, but no one checks in on the mother. And that was like one of the big ones, that everyone just goes towards the baby. And I remember even when my sister gave birth earlier in the year, and obviously it's a big thing. It was my sister's first birthday. So my wife told me, when we go visit her in the hospital, you make sure that it was the first time seeing the baby, she was like, run towards your sister before running towards the baby. And she'll make sure that you put that attention on your sister. And for me, the way my first response was, why would I do that? Like, it's my baby sister, you know, we've been like friends and best friends since we were young. Why am I now gonna like do that? But then you start to realize that, no, this is a big deal, you know. And my sister mentioned it in the hospital, that okay, everyone ran towards the baby, but no one, you know what I mean? It's so I want to know from your experience how that looks.
It's not just with family and like friends, it's also the whole system, right? So you think about going to your prenatal appointments, and then at the end you're going once a week, and then you're checking on the baby, right? And then you give birth, and then you start taking her to the pediatrician like once a week, once a month. But you get one postpartum visit 6 weeks later, right? To see if everything is okay. It's like we forget that the mom just went through this whole thing, right? Again, we're celebrating the baby. There's a new life. It's exciting. The mom just went through the hardest things that she could possibly do, right? And she's going through like this identity shift. She's going through the hormonal changes, all of these things. And then it feels like, should I bring this up? Like, is it weird to say that I need attention? Like, you're excited that people are excited about your baby. Then you're like feeling that loneliness, and then you're feeling like, am I taking up too much space by making this about me? Is what I see kind of women bring up. And when it comes to like that, we think, sometimes I think about, I'll tell you a little bit. When one of my friends like give birth, I always include something for them in the gift. Like I'll give them like comfortable pajamas, or like a DoorDash gift card, so they could like, for the food, right? Something that we're thinking of them and like that difficulty in that transition.
I don't think we talk enough about how important home equity is. And look, this is one of those subjects where we don't really get raised thinking about home equity and pulling money out of your home. And you just think, okay, I'm going to buy a home and I'm just going to pay the payments forever. But really, whether you're trying to get ahead on bills, fix up the house, start a side business, it's one of the smartest tools you have to do all these things. And especially with mortgage connections and how simple they've made it, where you don't need an appraisal, you get approved in minutes, you pick your rate and your term, and you can close in as little as 5 days. Some people would look at that and be like, that's too good to be true. But the reality is there's so many tools that are there to help us, but we just don't know about them. And this is one of them. So here's what I want you to do. Click the link in the description and get started on pulling that home equity today. Look, Michigan weather does not give you any time to prepare. Last week, we had our first snow, and fun fact, accidents go up 24% when the roads are icy. That's why you should check your coverage before anything bad happens. You need to make sure that you're protected and that your vehicle is also protected. And lucky for you, Nasser Insurance Agency makes it very easy. They'll make sure that your car, your home, and everything you cared about is actually protected. And they'll still get you the best deal out there. So before the next snowstorm hits, give them a call. All the information to do that is in the description of this episode. You ever notice when someone gets into a car accident or a slip at work or gets hurt, A lot of people jump in to give advice, but no one actually tells you what to do. And in those moments, you need someone that understands what they're doing. That's why people call attorney Amir Maklid. He's handled car accidents, work injuries, medical negligence. He makes sure people get what they deserve, not what they're offered. If you've been hurt, don't wait to reach out. Call attorney Amir Maklid. All of the information to do that is in the description of this episode. He'll take on the case and he'll win it for you. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay. Because you're right, if you just have a new baby that's vulnerable and everyone's putting the attention on that, it's like, is it weird if I just tell everybody that I want that, like I want some of that attention? Like, why is it all that some of the attention on me as well?
Yeah, it's like asking for help.
But you're scared to ask for help.
But you're scared to ask for help. Or you think that you shouldn't ask for help because, like, oh, I'm the mom, I should be able to do this.
Wow. And this is also common.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very common.
But here's the bit that I don't get. If all the women go through the same thing, right? And they know that they're going through this thing. So you have a baby, your friends have a baby. Why is it still not like common? Like, oh, when I had a baby, I wanted someone to ask about me. Let me go ask about her more. And it kind of becomes this like unspoken community thing where, oh, I know how it is to be a mom, so let me, like, I know what she's probably going through. Unless you actually, women think that they're going through this exclusively and no one else is going through it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think there's multiple parts to this. One is when we're talking about like the more severe, like postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, we're looking at 1 in 5.
Okay.
Is kind of like the statistics around that.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah. 1 in 5 is a lot.
20%. Yeah.
It's actually the number one complication of childbirth, yet we're not universally screening for it.
Postpartum depression.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We screen for a bunch of other things, like everybody gets their sugar, glucose test, but they're not universally screening postpartum depression. And if they do, they don't really know how to give the referral or get their clients like, really situated and good with with care.
What's the reason? If the numbers are so high.
Yeah. If we kind of come back to what you were saying, and I'll maybe tie them together, the numbers are so high. I also think we live a very different life than what we used to. And what I mean by that is like this idea of the nuclear family is kind of new, right? If we think about even how we lived in the Dayan and the villages, all our houses were next to each other, right? You went next door to your amtos. Everybody lived together. Everybody was taking care of their children together. The idea it takes a village. If you needed to sleep, there was somebody there. It really wasn't as isolating as it is now. And so that kind of like isolation is, I think, increasing some of that because one of the number one like protective factors is social support. So yeah, social support and just like normalizing it. And when it comes to what you're saying, like, why don't people talk about it? I think we're getting that shift. We're starting a little bit to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think people have to be okay with like saying, I struggled and I didn't bond with my kid for 4 months. People like don't want to say that, right? Like,
because that equals you're a bad mother.
yes,
in their
like
eyes.
you're a bad mother if you think this way or if you regret having this kid. You don't really like regret. It's the postpartum depression. It's that you think of the same with depression feels like hopelessness and like what am I supposed to do? There's nothing to live for. It's that same kind of symptom that comes up, but it's with your kid, right? And so it's a symptom, and people don't want to say that because they're like, oh, they don't really. How could they feel that way? I'll give you a little. I remember when I had my son. And I went to like post on social media and I'm like thinking of a caption to put. And I'm like, it feels like a lie. Like the best 3 weeks of my life. I'm like, I can't say that. How do people mean it when they say this? Like those were the thoughts that were going through my head. Like, is it just me who it hasn't been the best 3 weeks of my life? And I like ended up with a caption that wasn't, I don't remember what it was now, but it wasn't like it was the best 3. It was like something like, Alhamdulillah. Like it was something like that where I felt like I couldn't say more than that. And I didn't want to contribute to like, what if other people feel this way?
Yeah. Because there's social pressure now also.
Yeah.
You have to be like the happy mom as well.
Yeah.
If we want to like dive deep into the what postpartum depression looks like, because I think one of the reasons that I want to make this episode was it was just like a word that gets thrown around, but when you ask like, okay, but what is that? What is postpartum depression? The answers range, and it's not one thing that's specific. And okay, how do you, like, okay, everything we have, it's either preventative, there's stuff to prevent, or there's ways to find solutions for it. And when it came to this one subject, there was not really a clear-cut answer. So what is postpartum depression?
Yeah, if you want to get like technical about it, right? So postpartum depression is going to be depression that is triggered in the first year of postpartum, or in the prenatal period. So we're looking at like pregnancy and postpartum. If the symptoms start within 1 year, and I would actually say up to like 2 and 3, but like the actual one is 1, that is postpartum depression. It's the trigger point to the depression. Now, a lot of times we can also add on like difficulty bonding with the baby. We can add on like loss of identity. We can add on like frequent crying and things like that. But yeah, really the main indicator is when it was triggered.
Why do you think it's 2 and 3 versus the 1?
Yeah, because we can see that shift happen later on. Like, or some moms don't even recognize that it's happening until later on. They just kind of like one day are like, I don't think I've been myself for the past year and a half. That's why I would say further on, it's kind of when they're so in the thick of it, right? Sometimes the anxiety is also masking some of those things. So they're so like in the transition every time. The kids grow so fast in that first year, so you're constantly like shifting, doing new things, learning new things. And then when it kind of like slows down a little bit, it's like, oh, okay, I don't know what's going on here.
How does it look? Like, what are the... So when we say depression, some people just take depression as someone that's sad. Is it just simply someone that's sad?
No, sadness is part of it, but we're kind of looking at like this hopelessness more, right? So like maybe you're sad and you feel like this is never going to change. It's this part of you that is finding it difficult to find like interest in anything. So like you could be sad but still like want to hang out with people, or you could be sad and still... Depression really kind of takes away all that interest. So even when you get yourself to do something, you're like, this is still like nothing for me. Like I'm not getting something out of this that is like fulfilling or meaningful.
So losing hope.
Losing hope, or I would say even just like when it comes specifically to a baby, like, will I ever like this? Will I ever like being a mom? Will I ever get this right? Is how it kind of shows up in postpartum depression.
Okay. So just these feelings that keep going on and on and on. It's just like... So what I'm understanding, they're nonstop feelings or nonstop thoughts about what you just did, what the potential, where this is going. And the only reason for that isn't just the hormonal drop.
Right. It can contribute to it.
Okay.
It can trigger it. And then it kind of gets stuck there, right? But it's not the only reason, yeah. There's risk factors, but you can't really know what is going to be contributing to it. Postpartum depression is one of those things. And interestingly, I think that genetics plays a role too, but a lot of parents don't talk about it either, because you're not going to tell your kid like, oh, I was so depressed when I had you. So we don't really talk about it in that sense. And I think people forget. I think our parents forget. Some of that is like biology. Like you'll ask people who have had a kid, if there's not like birth trauma or birth PTSD, they'll be like, oh, that was such a hard experience. And then afterwards, we're like, oh yeah, I'll have another. It's like we forget, like biology, right? We forget because we're supposed to have more kids. And so that experience sometimes we forget how hard it really was. And I hear moms say to like I don't want to scare her. I don't want to tell her, like, but I don't think it's scaring them. I think it's just like telling them this is a possibility and this is what to do if it happens. I think they feel bad to give like unsolicited advice because that's hard too in postpartum. But I think asking people like, do you want to know about my experience? And giving them the option to hear it or not.
Does embracing the idea that this could happen help? If you know that these range of emotions might come up, is it one of those situations where, okay, I'm expecting something to happen, so kind of I'm seeing the car coming rather than just facing it head on?
Yeah.
But also from what you're explaining, I'm not sure if when those emotions come in, you're even in that headspace to think, oh, this is postpartum depression or this is that.
Yeah. So when moms are in that like thick of it, again, that's why I think 2 weeks is a good indicator. Like after 2 weeks, if you're still feeling that, you could typically tell if you're like still feeling really sad or off or irritable. That is typically a good indicator of like something is still amiss. Moms typically, they know if like they're experiencing it. I take that back. They know they're experiencing something different, but they don't label it as postpartum depression or anxiety. So something is different, but it just feels like, oh, I'll get over it. It's going to end soon. Like this is just because of the shift. Like, am I sure it's postpartum depression? Like I don't feel like I want to kill myself. I don't feel like I want to get rid of this baby. So I'll just get over this or it's going to get better. Or it's not that bad. I'm sure like it'll get better. That's typically what's happening. Postpartum depression does not, like, I think it's a myth, right? That people think that it means like, we hear like, oh, a postpartum mom who was depressed, like, killed herself or killed her baby. And then we associate it with that. It actually is not that. That's actually like postpartum typically can be like postpartum psychosis that causes like a break in reality and things like that. Not right away, but if you're feeling suicidal is not the only thing that makes it postpartum depression.
Because that's one of the things that a lot of people mention is this extreme case of wanting to dispose of the baby, or you hear a lot that the mom wants to kill the baby. You know, I haven't heard kill herself, but you probably have. And people associate, I think, postpartum depression with that idea. And then if it's not that, if she doesn't want to kill the baby, she says, no, I don't have postpartum depression. And I think over the phone you told me that that's psychosis. That's not even depression.
So, I mean, typically it is psychosis. I can't just say it right off of like a simple example, right? We'd have to assess and all of that. But typically when we're looking at like hallucinations or like this baby's evil or this baby's going to do something to me, this baby like is like, and that's like that psychosis. And psychosis is more rare. It's like 1 in 1,000. And there is, it's a medical emergency. So psychosis is a medical emergency. It is treatable. But we would treat that like extremely fast. We got to stop that break in reality. So you're saying break in reality. Can you go further deep of what that means and how differently it can present itself? Yeah. So I will say that postpartum psychosis is not like my specialty. But from what like my experience and kind of education around it, right? We're looking at hallucinations or like thoughts that this baby is evil or I'm evil or I need to hurt this baby. Like, so it's this break of what is real and what is not real, and that you are going to be harmed. So the difference in this, where I think it's very important to say the difference, is it's different than intrusive thoughts that moms have with postpartum anxiety and postpartum OCD. Intrusive thoughts are going to look like a thought about harming the baby, or like you may have a scary thought that scares you, like I'm going to drop the baby down the stairs, or these like scary thoughts that happen. And then you're like, oh my God, why did I think that? Or no, I don't want that to happen. When you get that, why did I think that? Why did I have that scary thought? That's a good indicator that it's an intrusive thought and it's not really you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just intrusive. That doesn't fall under psychosis.
Correct. So that difference is it kind of scared you. That thought kind of scared you. Which is very common, by the way. Intrusive thoughts are very common.
Where does that come from?
It's the anxiety, right? It's this, can I do everything right? The fear that you might hurt yourself, hurt the baby, not be enough for the, like, so they just start showing up. These thoughts come up. And you have to like really identify. A lot of moms, like, because they're so scary, they try to like push it away. Like, oh my God, why am I thinking that? I'm thinking that. That might keep it coming back. So if you kind of pause and say, okay, this is an intrusive thought. This is not me. And then you kind of follow it through. It helps kind of regain control of those thoughts.
So I want to kind of talk about the environment around the mother and how that environment can either help or destroy. When we talk about our culture specifically, like the Middle Eastern culture, in what ways does it help and in what ways does it negatively affect the mother after she gives birth to a child?
Yeah. I would say in the ways that it helps is definitely that like support you get around, right? And you have to know yourself and your family and what kind of support that you need, because I think sometimes I see a lot of my clients who are like, I couldn't do it. I had to leave before like the 40 days or before the week that my mom was helping me, because it's just like too much. Like, you're doing this wrong. You're like kind of that control that our moms like to do, because they take care of us. If they can, like out of mom, right? They want to take care of us and they want to extend that. And sometimes it's like that shift of letting go. So I think that again, the helpful part is the help that you get. And I would like to tell my clients, like, ask for the help that you need, that you actually need, right? So is it like, can you help me clean the house instead of feeding the baby? I want to feed my baby. Like, that's something I want to do right now. What I need from you is with this, if you want to help me. And really like labeling what you need. And I would also say our culture is like, we're used to like, how do I want to say this? In our culture, there is a lot of...
You can be unfiltered here, by the way.
Okay.
You don't have to hold anything back.
Yeah. Okay, we'll say it this way. Irritability starts to show up. Okay, so you're just like getting annoyed. You want to do it this way. Your parent wants to do this. Like all of these things, like the support just starts to feel like too much, or they come at times that it's like you don't want to, right? So there's also this shift where maybe a new couple wants to spend time alone with their kid. They're like, oh, like this is like we're our new family. We want to like build this, like, and then there's people are there all the time, all times of the day. And you're like, when you're postpartum, you are healing. You just went through like it's. Whether it's natural, like birth, whether it's C-section, all of these things, like, but all birth is natural. I want to make sure I say that. But you're healing. You are bleeding. You're this, you're that, and people are coming over your house, and they're like at the hospital. They're at your house, and they like want to see the baby, and they want you to get up and like bring tea, and like, and you're like, what the heck? Like, I just had a baby. I think that part really people struggle with. People like want you to be the host when you should be being taken care of.
And you don't think we have that awareness to where let's not go to their house for the first maybe 3 weeks and just kind of see how they feel?
Yeah, I don't think we have that awareness at all.
But see, that's the bit that's difficult for me to understand, is that like every mother went through this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Like if if and I'm saying women here because women are usually more aware of this stuff. Like obviously I'm a guy. 95% of the things that you're explaining, I might not understand if I was just newly in a relationship, you know. So why do we not like put those like girls looking out for the girl where no, let's not go to their house. Even like our mothers, like did they not go through postpartum depression?
They did.
Because I feel like the older generation are definitely contributing factors, because it's like, we did it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Don't forget, they come from so much trauma and war, and there's so much. Everything is aade for them because they're conceptualizing it as aade, right? They don't talk about these things. They don't talk about the difficulties that they went through. I mean, how often do you hear your parents talk about the war? Never, right? Most everybody I talk to, they tell me, no, my parents never bring those stories up. But those are things that almost all of our parents went through. Right? It's the same thing. Everything is a aade. It's just life for them. They've like normalized that for themselves. We're living a different life. We're living a more our nervous systems, when something like this happens, we're being activated really fast, right? So it's just different. When I had my son, and there was a time, and I believe this was in the first 2 weeks, so I was still like the baby blues, crying like out of nowhere all the time, and I was just like crying, and I looked at my mom and I was like, I don't know why I'm crying like this. Like I just don't know. I really couldn't label it. It was just like nonstop crying, and she looked at me and she said, yeah, that happens. Like, just as long as you don't feel like, like, and I was
commit
like,
suicide.
Yeah, to commit suicide. I was like, no, I don't feel like that. And it was so, I don't know why it stood out to me. It shocked me because like once she normalized it, she's like, that happens. I'm like, what do you mean that happened? What? For her, because usually our parents are like, no, it's okay. I don't, like you'll get over it. But it wasn't that. It was more. It's not till like later I talked to her about it. She's like, yeah, when I had your brother, and then I was like, she's like, well, I didn't know that's what it was. Like I just thought like it was like just she's like, I was by myself in Beirut, and like I just didn't but yeah.
The culture question here I'm asking because, one, I want someone that's listening that maybe someone close in their life has a baby or is pregnant, and they're getting to that phase where final trimester, and now this baby's coming any minute now. How do they have to react to make sure that the mother is comfortable and that the mother is able to be herself, and to lower those risk factors of postpartum depression? So that's why I'm asking about the cultural thing, because that was a big one that was mentioned to me too, is we don't want people over. We want to just stay with the baby. Another one would be people going to the mother and telling her, give me the baby and you go do whatever you want to do, but she wants to be with the baby.
Yeah. So I would say ask, right? If you have like someone in your life who's pregnant or just had a baby, ask. Do you want me to come, or do you need some time? I want to give you some time. What's a good time? Also, like, just do things. Don't wait for them to like. People really struggle with asking for help, especially in our culture. Like, you're not gonna ask someone to do the dishes for you. Just go do the dishes for them. Like these little things. Starts with asking 100%, and then that part of needing help. So we also want to associate with, like, we want to also identify that support and help is protective, right? And a lot of times, especially when there's anxiety at play and you want to do things perfectly and you need to like control everything with your baby, or it's hard to be away from your baby, I like to tell people, like, figure out what your non-negotiables are. Like, when you receive help or are asking for help, you're gonna have to have some flexibility because someone's helping you, right? But what are your non-negotiables? Communicate what your non-negotiables are for you and your baby, and the rest be okay with the flexibility.
What could those be, the non-negotiables?
Yeah, the non-negotiables, it's gonna be different for everybody, right? For like maybe for somebody it's nap times. Like they need to sleep at this time. So I notice like a lot of moms will have anxiety around like maybe leaving their baby. Like, well, they're not gonna put them to sleep at the right time, or they're gonna miss their nap, or they're right. So then there's anxiety around leaving your baby because what if they don't get their sleep? And then if they don't get your sleep, you're not gonna get your sleep at nighttime, and that's gonna impact your whole entire day, right? So maybe your non-negotiable is telling them like at this time, you need to make it a priority to get them to sleep. Yeah, it's different for everybody.
Okay. What could be early intervention for postpartum depression?
Early intervention for postpartum depression is peer support, getting your needs met. So like peer support, support from people around you, and I can go into that a little bit. And for some people, it's actually prior. So as soon as like if you're feeling it a little bit in your like pregnancy, having that support throughout it could actually be beneficial too. And then for some people, medication. And then there's always what we talk about with like risk factors of like medication, and then risk factors of postpartum anxiety and depression, and pros and cons.
If you were to categorize postpartum depression as a spectrum in a way, and then either on this side it's light postpartum depression, not too much going on, and on the extreme other end is psychosis. What does that difficulty look like before psychosis? Like the extremist case of postpartum depression that doesn't involve the psychosis part.
Actually, I'm glad you brought this up, because that's another like myth. So it's not a spectrum of like postpartum depression to psychosis. They're two different diagnoses.
Okay.
So I think that people worry that they like will end up at like psychosis, or like but that they're two different diagnoses. Psychosis is like if you have bipolar, that's like a risk factor for psychosis, because then that like lack of sleep and mania can trigger psychosis. So if we look at bipolar, that could be associated with psychosis, but not postpartum depression. Postpartum depression is its own diagnosis, and on the far end of that we could be looking at like suicidal ideation, like I don't want this baby, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what else? Suicidal ideation, I don't want that baby. I want to know, like, how would the woman be in the house? Like, if I was a fly on the wall in that house, what am I seeing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In that extreme case of postpartum depression.
Yeah. So in the extreme, right, you might notice like difficulty getting out of bed, like difficulty bonding with the baby. So you may be like not really playing with your baby, not really like you might do the minimum, like you're going to change your baby, you're going to like survival, right? You're surviving. You may not have interest in other things. You may not want to leave the house. You're really, I would say the biggest indicator is going to be that loneliness, hopelessness, and like difficulty bonding with your baby.
You guys are not ready for Detroit Perks winter specials. Look, I love when a coffee shop is always innovative and is always up with the seasons. And I don't know, it's weird. Every season we have specific items and flavors that we like to go to. And here's Detroit Perks list. Caramel brulee latte, white peppermint mocha, cookie butter latte, velvet hot chocolate, candy cane matcha. I think this is the first time I ever heard of candy cane matcha. And a cranberry refresher. All the perfect flavors. Now we're going into winter. We just got our first snow. If you're the type that waits for these seasonal flavors, look no further. Head straight to Detroit Perk. Actually, download the app. The link for that is in the description. Download the app, order ahead, pick up your order and go. If you have time, go in and enjoy the ambiance. It's the best place to chill. One thing I really like about Thrive Physical Therapy is that they get it. Not everyone's going to be comfortable being treated by anyone. You know, we have hijabis in the community, our moms, our sisters, our wives, and physical therapy is one of those things where it's not always a luxury. Sometimes it's a necessity. And to have that option where they've thought about that and they make sure that a woman can request a woman to do the work on them, I think is so important. And it's huge. Whether it's massage, cupping, or recovery therapy, you can request a woman to do that work for you. So if you've been putting off physical therapy for that reason, now you don't have a reason anymore. Thrive Physical Therapy is going to take care of you and help you feel respected throughout the whole process. You can book a session with them right now through the link in the description. So do that. And now let's get back to the show. We're going to transition into the biggest chunk of this episode. And this is the most requested thing to bring up to you. Mm-hmm. And it was the other parent in the house. Mm-hmm. What they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Fathers.
Mm-hmm.
What's their role in all of this?
Yeah. I want to start off by acknowledging that fathers can also experience postpartum depression. And a risk factor for them is if the mom has it, actually. It's a lot less common. We're looking at like 1 in 10, but it still happens. But when we're talking about how can fathers support the mom, right?
It was a lot of things, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Spending time with the baby, helping around the house, just not knowing what's going on. I think a big part of, so let me preface this before you go into it. I think a lot of the times when we were growing up, when there were women in the room and they wanted to talk about women things, they would kick out the young boys that were in the room. So I was thinking about this the other day. We grow up and then for the longest time, you have no idea what women go through at all, especially when it comes to these things. You even haven't heard about it. Mm-hmm. And then you get married and you go into a household and they know, okay, we're going to get a baby. And then out of nowhere, there's these things that, like, I don't think that it's malicious on the guy's end. No, I don't want to help. I think a part of it could be, especially in our culture, like, I'm the man. I don't have to do this. I do these things. I think for sure you'll have those cases, but for the most part, I don't think it's malicious. I think that they don't know what they're supposed to do. They're not understanding the hormonal drop, and they're not understanding this biological change that's happening with the woman. So if you could go off, give us your take. What's
sure. Yeah, I think what most men are like, they're like, oh my gosh, she's like snapping at everything and like I can't do anything right and all of these things. We have to acknowledge, so this is not a diagnosis. I would say, yeah, I probably will become one, but like postpartum rage and like mom rage is so common. And this is like, we're going to be looking at the irritability, the snapping, like just overtouched, overstimulated. This is probably the main thing that brings people actually to me. Like, they're like, I just keep snapping at my husband. I don't know what's going on with this. It's not me. So when we're looking at that, I want people to know, if you feel irritable, you feel like you're just like overstimulated, irritable, like you just, like your skin is crawling. Like moms will feel touched out. Like if they hold their baby, they need to breastfeed. They're like, get this kid off of me, right? When we're like thinking about this, I want this to be an indicator of like unmet needs. That is going to be probably what is happening when there's irritability, is unmet needs. What does unmet needs look like, right? So maybe you're trying to put that kid to sleep and kid won't go to sleep. You're trying, you're getting frustrated. You're like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this. And like, you're angry. Like you just want to like put this baby down and walk away, right? And it's moms who've experienced this will tell you like they feel really bad because it's like this feeling of, I'm going to scream if this kid does not get off of me right now. When we talk about this unmet needs, it's like, why was that making you so mad, right? It's probably not because maybe you're like, oh, he really needs to sleep and sleep is important, but also, is it because you were planning to take a shower and now you can't take a shower because your kid won't go to sleep? And so was it that you wanted to talk to your friend on the phone and now you can't? And so the only time you had for yourself today is now gone. I don't think that dads realize that most time, right? They're like going to work, they come back, their life is not impacted. It's not impacted to the point of everything is different. Their whole day is now structured around a kid who needs you 24/7. Whereas moms, if they want to take a shower, they're probably saying, hey, I'm going to take a shower. Make sure you watch the kid. You're not saying to the dad, or the dad's not saying to the mom, I need to take a shower. Make sure you watch the kid. So this kind of like resentment starts to build.
Oh, okay. What else?
Yeah. The sleep, right? So sleep, a lot of times dads might be like, well, I have work in the morning, so I need to sleep, or I'm going to go like make this, like a lot of this, right? However, lack of sleep, if the mom is getting up constantly with that kid, lack of sleep is one of the major things that's going to contribute to mood, anxiety, depression, and irritability. So it's a cycle. If you want this support, like let's take care of mom's sleep. Let's make sure we can, if we can, figure out a plan for dad to take one feed, to take one, like these things, so mom can get sleep, so then she's better in the daytime. So they need to do more to help with like sleep, making sleep a priority, and also giving her, like when you come home from work, maybe just like identify that like she's probably been waiting for you to get home all day to get a little break. So take care of that. Come home and say, hey, 30 minutes, I got this, kid. Go do what you need to do. Go on a walk. Go shower. Go do something for you. Yeah.
There was a conversation I had a few weeks ago with a couples therapist, Hamza Baydun, on here, and he said that most couples, the number one most difficult phase of a couple's marriage is the postpartum phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a statistic that around 60% of marriages end in that first phase, the first year after the baby comes. So there's juggling your relationship with your partner and your relationship with the baby. If you were to sit down with like a new father and you want to give him a blueprint of how to help his wife out, what would that blueprint be?
Yeah, I would start off by saying research shows that mom's mental health is the number one indicator of the rest of the family's mental health. So when we are taking care of the mom, we're taking care of the family. I think sometimes husbands need to know that, partners need to know that, so they can like know that this isn't just like her complaining or her like not being able to take care of things or asking you to do more and things like that. And I would say to them, like, help her sleep. Be part of this, like be part of the process of like the sleep, the feeding. And if she feels like she's completely like not herself, get her help. Tell her that, hey, like go spend some time with some friends, or let's do something that you like to do, or let's come back to a little bit of connection, and find time for each other. This is a big one. So this is going to be really hard, right? Especially if your baby wakes up a lot and things like that. But when I say find time for each other, maybe you're going to give each other like 30 minutes at the end of the day to just sit on the couch together, or to talk about the day, or like what went well, and things like that. And don't expect things to be clean and food to be cooked. Like you're in survival mode and some things take priority, and right now is not that priority. So if anything, take on some of those things.
I think a big one that I thought was that I didn't expect was make sure the mom is fed. Like make sure your wife is fed.
Yeah.
And it's I know the vast majority of people, their wife is making the food at home. So when I heard that, it's like, oh, what? Now it's and it was just not about being fed and asking questions. I heard this too, that mothers wanted their husbands to take initiative
Yes.
in the house without her having to tell them,
Yes.
like, hey, I need this, I need this. Like, don't ask questions. This is your house. This is your child too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the mental load. This is a big one, right? The mental load. Like, we don't think about all the stuff that typically it's the woman who is keeping track of all. Like, do we need more paper towels? Do we have enough soap? Do we have like all of these things? And then like things that maybe even the husband's supposed to do, like take out the trash, and then she has to like also remember, like, oh, can you take out the trash, or can you make sure to do that? Like, it's adding on a bunch of these things, and it just feels like another chore. So the woman feels like, well, if I have to like remind him to do it, I might as well just do it myself. Like, I have to keep track of his chores plus my chores. And so like that's where that part comes from, is like just do the things without being asked, because then you're taking a load off of what she has to think about doing. And being fed, yes. So we're talking about lack of sleep, lack of nutrition. Those are the two main things that are going to affect your mental health, right?
Recovery.
Recovery, all of that. And when you have a baby, like, and who's crying, or they might need a contact nap, or like you try to, like, all of these things, the mom's probably not even like eating throughout the day. Like, she is, like, I tell them all the time, like, get one-handed snacks that you could have next to you, one-handed snacks that you could like easily eat while you're holding the baby. Like, these are the things that we have to think about to just make sure you're getting some nutrition. So to expect like dinner and things like that, like, it's just it's wacky.
What is driving women to come see you?
Yeah.
Like, I want to talk about your practice. What are the things that you're seeing? What are the main concerns that are coming up? And then we can get into what you're telling them.
Yeah. What is bringing them to me? One, I would say the irritability is what I see like the most. They don't feel like themselves because they're snapping at everybody. They're snapping at their in-laws, at their parents, at their husband, and they just feel touched out. And I also want, and the depression, right? So like you're crying a lot, you don't feel like doing anything. And I want to point out the anxiety. A lot of times moms are going through the anxiety and not recognizing it, because it could kind of hide itself in a sense. The overwhelm is a big one. So like everything feels so overwhelming. You might not even, you're like, I can't go out. My kid might cry. I'm not going to go because my kid might cry.
Might cry.
Yeah. Or maybe they have cried, right? They have cried, and so you're like, that's so embarrassing. I can't, like, I don't. It's like, we need to make space for babies in our society. Babies cry. People need to get used to it, and if it's that bad, you can walk away. But that's a whole other thing. But we need, as a society, we need to be more accepting of these things to make people feel included. You might want to pack the diaper bag, and the idea of packing the diaper bag seems like the biggest deal. You're like, I physically cannot, oh my God, I really don't feel like doing that. And that overwhelm is like a lot of times anxiety. The checking, the researching, you have a thought like, is that normal? And then you're like on ChatGPT and you're like Googling and you're like, what's normal? How normal is it? What should I do to fix this? And then it's like hours of like, which product is the best, right? So it's like taking up all of this time. That's what's kind of bringing people to me.
When they come in, are they looking for solutions? Are they looking for a guide? Are they looking just for someone to talk to? Because a lot of the things that you're doing, it doesn't seem like, I know in a lot of psychological situations, getting something off your chest and talking about it helps a lot. Mm-hmm. In this case specifically, talking does not seem like something that would be part of the solution. It's more action. So are they coming for you like, Alaa, what am I supposed to do? Or I just want to let this off my chest?
I think they're coming in the sense of like, I just don't think this is normal. And I want to be better for my kid. That's really what we're seeing. Because through all of these things, the one commonality is they're recognizing like something is off and I want to be the best mom that I can be, and this is getting in the way.
Mm. And are you providing them with solutions?
sometimes there's practical skills, right? We talk about like setting boundaries, we talk about flexible boundaries, and we talk about
What's that?
a flexible boundary might look like someone saying like, we're out of, right? Like if someone's gonna say like, oh, I'm coming over, you can't just say no. Imagine like sometimes what that could, those relationships, right?
Yeah.
You might say like, I can't today, but I'd love to have you on Friday next week when I feel a little bit better, right? Like that's a perfect day for you to come. Like, so we're putting that no, but we're making it flexible. We're like adding to when it can happen.
Is it those boundaries become more difficult with family members?
Sometimes, you probably know the family members that you can't really like do that with, right? I always tell people, the relationship, you're the expert in the relationship and what is going to work or not work. It's sometimes it's trial and error what you can communicate with them. Things aren't always just like that. It takes some time. That's the biggest one, is things take time, and it takes time to recognize like what kind of help you need, who is helpful, who is not helpful, all of those things. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes it's practical skill building, like placing boundaries, like asking for help. A lot of times we're doing a lot of like recognizing when the irritability comes up. So we're doing a lot of like mindfulness of like, what does it feel like when this irritability is coming up? What do I need? Like, what's my unmet need? How do I label this? So a lot of recognizing what the emotion is, how to calm yourself back down, how to reduce some of the overstimulation. So we're doing a lot of like skill building with stuff like that. And for postpartum depression, anxiety, normalization is a huge one. Just knowing that like those thoughts were normal. Let's not say normal, let's say common. Just knowing that those thoughts are common and recognizing that this happens helps, because then you're like, oh, I am not a bad mom. Like, other moms have this thought, and it's reducing that self-blame. So the more we can reduce that self-blame, the more we can bring stuff back for them and like bring a little interwoven with a little bit of like that self-identity, and create the new balance. Grieve your old self, celebrate your new self. All of these things is really what we're doing.
It seems like a big part of the issue is the loss of identity, and not knowing who you are anymore. You know, it's even like when we were talking, the things that you're listing out, like the food or like the chores life is already as busy as it is, and now you added another human being to the equation, and it seems like it's a lot, and how much can you expect from one human being to do? You right?
Right. And that's where it comes back down to like this individualism is like, it's difficult. And you can't possibly do it all. You can't. And people who say that they are probably struggling, or they have a lot of background support. I don't think anybody could do it alone, truly.
Now I'm just thinking about single mothers that lose their husbands, whether to divorce or death in that phase, in that first year after the baby comes. Like, what do those women do?
Yeah, you have to find your support. You have to find a network. You have to outsource what you can, like all of these things. But it's a struggle. And I would say that that's when you want to look at like outside resources as well.
What was your hardest phase in your postpartum journey? Because you mentioned to me before we started that you went into this specialty specifically because you went through it.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people went through postpartum as well, but they didn't take it as a specialty, and they wanted to dedicate their careers for that.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Yeah, so I was already a social worker, so I was working with kids. And when I went through postpartum, and I should say that, so I was pregnant and COVID hit. So that like just changed everything for me. I was about like 20 weeks pregnant when COVID hit. So like my world just like turned upside down. And so receiving support in COVID postpartum was like, oh, like almost impossible, right? Because of all the shutdowns and things like that. So that lack of support was part of it. But for me specifically, I would experience this like sense of doom that would just kind of come over me. So like it would just feel like a cloud, and it would come over me, and I'd be like, I'm supposed to live in this world. I'm supposed to take care of a kid. Is this my life now? Like my life is just taking care of this kid. Is that all I do? And we have to remember that in the beginning, in postpartum, in especially the first 3 to 4 months, that kid needs you around the clock. And you just think that that's your new reality. It's not. They're a newborn. But when you're in it, that's what it is. That's what it feels like. That this is your life now, and your whole life is just waking up, feeding a baby, changing them, bathing them, sleep, putting them to sleep over and over and over and over and over. And you can't see anything else. And so it just felt like, what? Why did I want this baby again? Like my whole life is this? Like, did I make a mistake? Can I go back? Wait, I can't go back in time. I can't go back in time. Oh my God. Like those were the thoughts that would kind of happen to me. And then just like everything felt overwhelming. Like I didn't do anything in the house. Like everything was just too much. I was like, nope, this is too much. And also my son didn't sleep. So I would like do contact naps, and then people would be like, well, you're getting him used to this and you need I'm like, well, this is what I want to do. Like, this is what I want to do. And so people kind of like blame you, right? For like, well, you can't do anything because he's always sleeping on you. Well, okay. So it's that shift. I think I was so shocked by how I felt, and I was so shocked by the healing experience. I was like, nobody told me about this. Like, why does nobody tell you about this? Like, this is the hardest 3 days of my life. Like, because of these 3 days, I never want to do this again. Right? These were my thoughts. And people would come over, and I did not care. Like, I know people I looked like a mess. I was like, oh, well, they're gonna just have to see me like this, because I don't have the effort to do anything else. So that whole shock of what that was, and I mean, I had nieces and nephews. Like, this is why it was so shocking to me. So the whole shock was like, I want to talk about this, because I am shocked that I'm a therapist and I have been around kids and all of this, and like, I didn't know this. And on top of that, like, I went to my like appointment, and they like ask you, how are you feeling? I'm like, yeah, fine, don't worry, I'm a therapist. Like, I know, like, totally skipped it over and didn't even say that I was having all of these thoughts. I was like, I can handle it. And then I was like, it took me, I think, 8 months to like go see somebody and talk to somebody about it, because I kept saying like, I can handle it. And then that's when I was like, I'm gonna go specialize in this and just talk about it. Yeah.
Do you think being a mother is worth it?
Yes, I have a second now, so I obviously got over it. I don't want to say I got over it, but I healed. That's what I should say. I healed. I healed, and I have a second, and I was prepping for the worst. Even my husband was like, okay, are we sure? Like, you know, like, last time was pretty rough on you, and we really had to talk about that. And I said, yeah, like, I have the support this time. I know what to do this time. Which, by the way, for some people, they might get it in their second, not their first. Like, it can really be all over the place. But I will say, like, you can heal, and you can want a second and truly want that second.
Was the second time around easier for you?
For me, it was. Yeah.
Are there situations where the woman doesn't feel anything? It's just maybe you said baby blues, the first 2 weeks, and then she's back to her old self? She doesn't feel like there's that big of a shift emotionally? Yeah.
So again, we're looking at 1 in 5, right? So there's still people who don't experience it this way. We're still looking at an identity shift. We're still looking at that like grief of the self and things like that. But it's manageable, right? It's more manageable. It's not like interrupting your life. It's not interrupting how you're taking care of things. There's still hope. Yeah. I
have a list here that I'm going to show you. So imagine that I'm someone that came to you, and I'm telling you these concerns. So we talked about the husband's support emotionally, mentally, and physically. I get sad suddenly. What do you so I'll tell you what the concern was, and you tell me how you would respond to someone
Okay.
that's telling you this.
Okay.
Okay. Anxiety towards anyone that's gonna touch my baby.
Yeah. So anxiety towards anybody that's going to touch your baby, I would look at like what happens, right? Is it they're going to do something wrong? Is it an intrusive thought? Is it you feel like if you were holding your baby, you could take care of them, and if they were separated from you, you can't protect them, right? I would identify that as again, like this almost like exposure, like, okay, I'm going to let them, you can hold my baby for this long, and I'm going to watch it. I'm going to make sure everything's okay, and I'll take my baby back, right? So we're going to move slowly with it. But typically that's going to be we're going to probably be looking at wanting to do everything right. And the only way to make sure everything is done right is if I do it myself.
Okay. I get sad suddenly.
Some of that is hormonal shifts, right? So we're still going up and down. Hormones are dropping, especially if a mom is breastfeeding. There's hormones that are incorporated there. So like these shifts are just getting of sudden shifts, and just like remembering things, right? So if you are just like randomly getting sad, I would label that. Okay, like I feel sad because I can't do this, or because this is happening. Sadness is typically rooted in other things, but I would start with like labeling it and knowing that like it's temporary. For some people that's helpful, for some people it's not. It feels invalidating, but kind of like, okay, I'm sad right now, but I'm not going, like, can I be sad and still, here's a good way to look at it. Can I be sad and still hang out with like this person because I know that I want my kids to be around like these people and I want to have relationships with them? Can I do it while sad? Then let me do it while sad.
Seeing people sometimes overwhelms me.
Seeing people sometimes overwhelms me. Like if they come over or leaving the house. Okay. Yeah. Because your brain has to be on in so many directions. I would say that when it comes to seeing people is overwhelming. Identifying what you need out of that. Like, is it because you are expected to keep up a conversation? Is it because you're expected to look a certain way or behave a certain way and you just don't have the energy to do it? And kind of like true support and true friends aren't gonna like judge you for that and whatever you need in that moment. And the people who are like, do you want those people in your life anyway?
I just find it difficult because culturally, we're a difficult bunch.
Yes.
In a cultural sense, you know. So some people don't understand those boundaries that they have to be put. They don't think there should be boundaries in the first place. Like, why are you putting boundaries where we're family?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the cultural part makes it difficult.
For sure. And what I say when it comes to boundaries like that, one, like, is it going to help the relationship or hurt the relationship? If not placing that boundary is going to cause resentment, then that's not helpful for your relationship.
Correct. And most probably is, no?
What is it?
It most probably is going to build resentment.
Yes. If you are like, yes, it probably will. Yeah. but people need to, like, some people live with that though, right? They live with it because they just say like, well, that's what it is. Like, I just have to deal with it. You don't have to just deal with it. So a good indicator, I think, culturally for our culture when it comes to boundaries is if you place a boundary with a person, with a family member, and you feel guilty, you feel some ickiness, like that's normal. That doesn't mean it was a bad boundary, because yeah, you're going against like what you're taught. They're disappointed. They might feel hurt. They're allowed, by the way, to feel disappointed and hurt when you place a boundary. Like that's a very normal reaction to someone placing a boundary with you. But it has to, again, then make sense for the relationship, right? But if you place that boundary, you have a little bit of guilt and a little bit of like ickiness, but also some relief. You're like, oh, but I'm so relieved I have the rest of this afternoon to myself right now. Or I'm so relieved I get to like, that's probably a good boundary. You want to look for that, like, that relief part.
The indicator. Did you feel good after?
Yeah, and not just good. You're still going to feel guilt, right? But don't let that be the driving force of the decision that you make.
Okay. What do you come with when someone has issues with their body image?
Yeah, this happens a lot. This is like especially like societal pressures, and like the first thing people say is like, oh my gosh, you look so good, or like, did you see, it's like the first thing they're noticing or making a comment on, right?
So they comment?
Yeah, women do comment on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, oh, you lost the baby weight so fast, or you look great, or, oh, if you breastfeed, you'll lose it right away, or like just a million comments that may or may not be true. And it's just like, yes.
We can be harsh, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, but I don't even think people like, it's just like such a normal part of what they are used to talking about. They don't, and they might think they're doing a good thing, right? Like, oh, you look great. But like somebody else might be sitting there who has heard that, and they're like, you know what I mean? So it really, I don't think they mean it maliciously. It's just like some people do, I guess. But.
So I was watching videos online about the subject and scrolling through comments to see what people are saying. One comment that stuck out was, a woman's worst enemy is another woman.
So I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't, because I think that society tries to tell us that, but women support each other a lot more than we think. You just have to find your woman. You have to find the ones that support. Yeah. Because I think a woman's support is the greatest thing that you can have.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess it came from that idea of no one taught, like, every single time there's a new mom, we make it seem like this is the first new mom, like as if we didn't go through it ourselves and we don't understand and we can't like put her in that loop. Yeah. And that's something I want to ask you, like if a woman is pregnant right now and she knows she's gonna have the baby soon, what are the things that you would tell her from now?
Yeah.
Like what are some advice, like, hey Alaa, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to look for?
I would say like, I see, and that's the thing, again, because we don't know, right? We don't know if she's going to experience that or not, but I would say check in with yourself. Know that this is a big transition. Know that grief is normal from now. Like I will say almost everyone's going to experience some of that grief, some of that shock of like what it's like to take care of a baby and be responsible for a baby. So I would say don't forget you are going through such a hormonal drop. Go easy on yourself. If you notice yourself crying, sad, it's okay. Doesn't mean like it's going to be like this forever. It doesn't mean you're going to feel this forever. Go easy on yourself. I would also say that like asking for help is okay. And that this hormonal shift that happens and you are healing from one of the most difficult things for some women. They're even healing from a surgery when they do C-section. And then all of a sudden you have to heal and take care of a whole human being that 100% depends on you for survival. Go easy on yourself.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Because this was the one after that is proving yourself in front of others that you're a good mom or that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. This is the one where I think comparison comes into it, and I don't even think women realize they're doing it. for some women, like, it just feels like they constantly, like, am I doing enough? This mom's doing this. Well, how is this mom keeping up with all of this? And what? She's going out and going on walks already? And, like, so this, like, comparison piece to it, and wanting to be the best that you can be. All of a sudden, like, maybe you're used to, like, how you present yourself and all of these things, but all of a sudden now you also have, like, a kid, and you want your kid to excel, and it gets put into your kid, right? So I always say that, like, parenting is both triggering and healing at the same time, because it triggers all of these things of your own parent, like how your parents parented you and how you want to do things, what you want to do differently. And it's also healing because you get to choose how to do things. You get to do things differently and take the good parts, you know? So being enough, I would say, like, and all that matters is you and that kid and your family, your partner, right? That's what matters. Everyone else can have opinions, but they're not living your life, and they're not in that bond with you and your kid.
Wanting time for yourself, but at the same time struggling to leave the baby.
Oh yeah, I see this all the time. All the time. This is where a lot of it is, like, anxiety. A lot of it is, like, the mom guilt that comes up. So mom guilt, even, like, if you're gone for an hour, you're like, could I have spent that hour with my kid doing something that would benefit them? And those are kind of the thoughts that kind of happen with moms. Even just, like, learning that someone knows your baby and can take care of your baby. And so it's, like, this constant struggle of, like, I know I'll benefit if I step away, but also I don't want to step away. I could be doing more. That's usually what that, like, thought process is. Or again, like, just the anxiety of what if something happens? What if they cry and they don't know how to help her from crying? Like, all of these things.
Yeah.
And for some moms, they really are on a time schedule. Like, they might only be able to be away for 2 hours, and they have to get back on time for that feed, right? If they breastfeed, like, they literally cannot be away for longer than that.
Yeah.
So yes, all of that. And I would say that for that, it kind of starts with slow, right? Maybe you go for 5 minutes. Maybe you check in, maybe you, all of these things. But I also want to say that, again, when I typically like to tell moms, when you are taking care of yourself, when you are doing something for yourself, you actually are helping your baby. Because if stepping away fills your cup, now you have something to pour from for your baby. Energy in, energy out. There's lots of things that are requiring you to have energy out. Taking care of the baby, mental load, like chores around the house, responding to things, all of these things. What are you doing for energy in? For some moms, it's sleep. For some moms, it's hanging out with friends. For some moms, it's being alone. For some moms, it's like, for everybody, it's different.
What's most common?
For energy in, like, for what feels good for people, it's really different for everybody.
Okay.
Truly, yeah. Because, like, if you're introverted, it might be, like, alone time. For extroverted, it might be hanging out with some friends and things like that. So, yeah, it's different for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. So then some of that's figuring it out, right? Like, how do you feel when you do these things? So that's something we could also, like, do in therapy, like figuring out what your energy in is and what are those things that bring you that fulfillment and meaningfulness back into your life.
This is the exact opposite. It's feeling disconnected from the baby.
Yeah.
How does that look like first?
It might look like, is this baby mine? Like, I can't feel it. Like, I don't know what makes this baby mine. Some of it might be like, I just don't feel like holding you right now and like talking with you. Like, do I have to talk with you right now? Like, I just want to have a moment to myself. I just want to, like, yes. So it kind of just, like, not feeling that, like, so this is a big thing that, like, a lot of moms will be like, oh, from when I was pregnant, like, I felt that bond. And then it makes some moms feel like, oh, I don't know. And then they're like, oh, don't worry. Once you have the baby, you'll feel that bond right away. And then that baby's born. They're like, something's wrong with me because I'm still not bonding with this baby.
Interesting.
And a lot of things I've seen things that kind of contribute to this feeling. Sometimes when moms like have birth trauma, or when the baby is like separated from them at birth, or sometimes even moms who like use IVF and things like that, they feel like something went wrong, and then they struggle to like bond with the baby, or like somebody took my baby first, or I didn't get to take care of my baby in the first hour or the first day, and I noticed that contributes a lot to that. So it's kind of like rebuilding, reconnecting. We do a lot of like things like, let's take 5 minutes and just like look in your baby's eyes, and build that bond and things like that.
Okay. Do they come to these sessions with their babies?
So a lot of my postpartum moms will do virtual, because
Okay.
it's just easier for them to do virtual.
Right.
And so I see their babies with them at the in the virtual session. So I get to watch these babies grow, and I love that. But and a lot of moms will try specifically to like get someone to watch their baby for the hour, because it feels like a self-care time where they can like
Correct.
go have an appointment every week and like come see me. So it just depends on the mom. But I think moms with higher anxiety typically will do the virtual.
Mm-hmm. What's one thing that we didn't talk about today that you think we should have?
One thing that we didn't talk about, I think we should have. Okay, I think we covered, honestly, like a big part of a lot that shows up. I would say what I want like moms to know is, if you are thinking, am I a good enough mom? You're most likely a good enough mom, because you're doing more than what others might even think about, right? You're aware enough to think about the things that you are doing and what is happening. And so I want, like, there's this concept that there is no such thing as the perfect mom, but there is the good enough mom, and good enough is good enough.
I think a lot of us, in anything we want to do, it bothers us to just be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Be mediocre. We all want we want to overperform in everything that we do, and I think especially when it comes to something big like that, having a child, something that you think of since you're a little kid. When I have my own kid, I want to do this, this, and that, and then you have your own kid, and that's nothing like you ever expected it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but with this is touching on like perfectionism, right? And perfectionism sounds counterproductive, but when you strive for perfectionism, you're actually less likely to succeed, because you're less likely, right, to like make mistakes and like learn and things like that. And that touches on that part that we talked about of like wanting to be a good enough around others and like things like that. When we're looking at good enough and perfectionism, and it really comes down to, what will people say? What will people think when we think about perfectionism, right? It's very externally driven. And so when we think about it being externally driven, what can we do to come back to, what do I get out of this? Like what does striving to be better come, like what do I want to get out of it? What's the value there? Is it family? Is it success? And how do I do things in my life that are going to work towards that instead of working towards perfect?
You think, one thing that I realized about a woman will have a kid, and then for the first couple months, she's very, this is the only thing that I'm going to do. This is my new identity. I'm a mother. And then a little bit of time passes, and then she wants to re-explore what she can do and get those other identities back going too.
Yeah.
My sister pitched a business idea to me. My sister is the most non-business person there is in the world, and she was very adamant. The only thing I want to do is be a mother, and she's so happy. And then the other day she was like, I have this business idea, and I think I want to do 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, what? Like, I haven't heard her talk about anything other than this paradigm of just being a mother for 10 months now, 11 months now. And now she wants to do other things. And I'm like, that's so cool that they're as hard as it can be with your first child or with the other children, you find yourself eventually. I think that's awesome that the light at the end of the tunnel is there. Right. And I think some of the fears you spoke about in the beginning is you fear that this is going to be your life forever.
Yeah. I think this touches on like if we come back to like filling your cup, right? For some moms, being at home with their kids and taking care of their kid and doing all of these things, like that fills their cup. Like that brings everything to them, and they're able to refill their cup by providing and doing those things and like doing the mother, like all of these things and contributing to it. For some other moms, because it becomes like 24/7 and it's like it's hard to fill your cup with just like everything being like that, stepping away for a little bit, going to work or having like an idea or something, outside of the home fills their cup, and it makes them, it re-energizes them, brings that time away. When they come back home, they have so much more energy for their kids and like more time to like, it's like not so repetitive. So now like the quality of it is so much better, right? So sometimes, and it could shift throughout your life, and it's okay for that to shift throughout your life. It's just about getting back in touch of like what is going to energize you.
Yeah. No, I think this was good. I think that biggest takeaways probably would be the support, especially from the partner in the house.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most overlooked parts of any success. I saw this too, is that the dad, like that's your kid too, like that's your child too. And I know it sounds so simple, like obviously this is my child, but no, this is, when you say those words like this is your child, there's things that come along with that. It means that there's a role that you have to play and all of this. And what it's interesting, I think the most interesting thing is you mentioned was that the mental health of the mother is the mental health of the household. So rather than looking at the mother as like she'll get over it, it's more of we have to get over it as a family. It's in the mother, the father, and the other child.
100%. Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. It's so important, and I think even moms don't recognize that themselves. Supporting the mom. Okay, so I tell moms all the time, life is about giving and receiving, right? You will have so many opportunities in your life to give, and it will come. You have given, you will be able to give again. Postpartum is a time to receive. Just receive. You'll have time to give again. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important.
So important.
Yeah. Well, Alaa, thank you so much. I appreciate the time that you gave us, and I hope that the people listening will...
Yeah, thank you so much.